It is January 23, 2026.
Yep.
And if you're listening to this, there is a pretty high probability you started this month with a promise.
Mm-hmm. The classic one.
You looked at the calendar, you looked in the mirror, and you said, this year, I'm going to try harder. You promised yourself discipline, the grind.
Right.
But here's the hard truth from the research we're looking at today. By March, most of that effort is going to fail.
And it's not because you're lazy.
No, not at all. It's because you're playing an old game. The rules have changed from effort to leverage.
It's a really tough pill to swallow, isn't it?
Fair.
We're so in love with the idea of the grind, but the data we're digging into, it says the ceiling for pure effort has never been lower. If you're just working hard in 2026, you are losing.
Welcome to the deep dive. I'm really looking forward to this one. We're unpacking a guide called the AI Generalist, Mastering Leverage for 2026. And my mission today is to really get my head around this philosophical shift. We're moving from a world where value was defined by how much you suffered to a world where it's about how much you can leverage. And I have to be honest, I struggle with this deeply. I still have that voice in my head, I don't know if it's cultural or what, that says if I'm not totally exhausted at the end of the day, I haven't actually done anything.
Oh, totally. It's that Puritan work ethic, right? It's just hardwired into us. If it doesn't hurt, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
But let's look at the definition of leverage in our source material.
Yeah.
It defines leverage as when one action produces results long after the work is finished.
Input once, output repeatedly.
Exactly. Contrast that with the daily grind.
Yeah.
In the grind, your effort just resets every single morning. You stop working, the results stop coming. It's a hamster wheel.
So it's the difference between, say, renting your time and owning an asset.
Precisely. Look at the examples the source gives. Take Mr. Beast. Now, you might think, okay, he's just a YouTuber. But think about the mechanism. He films a video one time. That single action, that one day of filming, turns into views and revenue and brand deals and audience growth for years. The effort was finite, but the output is, well, it's potentially infinite.
It's a non-linear equation. And then on the flip side, you have someone like Linus Torvalds.
Right, the creator of Linux.
Yeah.
He wrote the kernel. He made that foundational contribution once. I mean, obviously, he updated it, but the core act of creation was singular. Now, that code runs millions of systems, companies, developers. He doesn't have to personally show up at every computer to make it work.
That is leverage.
That's leverage.
It makes sense. But historically, that kind of leverage was always gatekept, wasn't it? You needed a ton of capital to build a factory, or you needed these super rare coding skills to build Linux.
Exactly. And that is why grinding became the default for everybody else. If you didn't have capital or these niche skills, your only real option was to just show up and sell your hours. But the source makes a really bold claim here.
Which is?
Those barriers are gone.
So if the barrier to leverage is gone, what is the actual mechanism replacing hard work?
It's moving from renting your time to owning your output through AI.
Okay, let's unpack that a little. Because usually when we talk about AI, it's like a shiny new toy or a cheat code.
Yeah.
But what you're describing sounds like a fundamental restructuring of how work gets done.
Think of it this way. AI gives you something incredibly close to labor on demand. And it's on 24/7. We're talking research, drafting, analysis, planning, execution. All these tasks that used to take human teams hours, they now take minutes. But here's the key insight from the source that I just love. It references Mark Andreessen.
The venture capitalist.
Right. And Andreessen argues that the winner in this new age isn't the specialist who's digging deeper and deeper into one narrow trench. It's the person who moves across domains, the person who connects the dots, judges the output, and builds the systems.
That feels so counterintuitive. We're always told to specialize. Niche down, right?
In the old world, yes. But the source argues that AI lets you simulate depth. So one person using AI well can create a performance gap that just pure discipline alone cannot close. The article gives a specific ratio.
Okay.
1 hour of leverage work equals 10 hours of manual work. So if you're just working hard, you're competing against someone who is getting 10 times your output for the same time investment. You literally cannot grind hard enough to beat that math.
So if specialists are at risk, what does the ideal modern worker actually look like?
They look like a generalist who uses AI to simulate depth.
Simulate depth.
Yeah.
That implies you don't need to be the expert deep in the weeds. You just need to know how to navigate the garden.
Exactly. And this brings us right to the core profile the source discusses.
Yeah.
The AI generalist. Now, this isn't someone who knows everything. It's not about being a walking encyclopedia. It's someone with about 60 to 70% competence across a few high-leverage skills.
60 to 70%. That seems, well, attainable. It doesn't sound like you need a PhD.
You don't. The source references Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert. He had this concept of skill stacking. He said being great at one thing is super hard and rare, but being pretty good at several complementary things, like being a decent artist, a decent writer, and understanding business, that combination creates totally outsized results.
And AI is the accelerant for that stack.
That's it. In the past, stacking those skills took decades. You had to go to design school, then business school, then learn to code. AI compresses that whole timeline from years down to weeks. And the source highlights how flexible this makes you. In a company, the AI Generalist can connect teams because they kind of speak everyone's language. As an entrepreneur, they can build without waiting for anyone's permission.
Okay, let's get specific then. What are the actual skills in the stack?
It's a 4-part system. Automate, build, create, and connect.
Automate, build, create, connect. Let's start with the first one, automate. The source frames this as buying back time.
Yes. And this is the defense. Before you can do anything creative, you have to stop drowning in all the shallow work. The source points out that low-value stuff scheduling, data cleanup, summarizing emails, it eats up about 5 to 10 hours a week for the average professional.
A full workday.
A full workday gone every single week.
I feel that it's the death by 1,000 paper cuts.
So automation is about turning those repeated patterns into background processes. The source gives this fantastic, super specific example of a podcast workflow. I know it's a little metaphors right now, but just walk through this with me.
Okay, let's do it. What's the old way versus the new way?
Okay, the old way of prepping for a guest.
Okay.
You read their bio, you watch 3 or 4 of their past interviews, you're manually taking notes, you're trying to format questions. It takes hours.
Right, by the time you're done with the prep, you're exhausted before the interview even starts.
Exactly. Now here is the new way the source describes, with specific tools. First, you use tools like Perplexity or Clay. They pull the guest bio and background automatically. Then, you use something like Whisper or Recall to summarize their past audio appearances. You don't listen to all of it. You just get the key themes extracted for you.
So you have the raw data synthesized.
Then, you feed that summary into Notion AI or Claude with a prompt to generate personalized interview questions based on those specific themes. And finally, you use an automation tool like Zapier or Make to just format all of that into a clean document.
That's incredible. So your energy moves from just gathering information to actually thinking about the conversation itself.
Precisely. You're redirecting your calorie burn from the prep to the performance. That's power number 1.
So automation is defensive. How do we go on the offensive?
We stop just saving time and start building our own tools.
This is power number 2, build.
Yep.
Now, build usually implies coding. And I have to admit, I have tried to learn Python maybe 3 different times, and I've quit 3 different times.
You and me both.
Yeah.
But the source argues the definition of the software has changed. It's no longer something you study for years. It's something you kind of shape through conversation.
Through conversation? How?
Yes. The barrier used to be syntax, knowing where the semicolon goes. Now the barrier is just clarity of thought. The source mentions tools like Replit, Cursor, and Vercel v0. You can literally just prompt an app into existence.
Give me a real-world application for someone who isn't trying to build the next Facebook, just a normal person.
Okay, imagine a student. They're totally overwhelmed with notes. They can go into one of these tools and say, build me a study bot that quizzes me on this specific text file. And boom, it exists. Or an employee who's drowning in messy spreadsheets, they can tell the AI, turn this spreadsheet into a visual dashboard where I can click to approve expenses.
Whoa. Just imagine describing a problem to your computer and it writes the software to fix it right there in front of you.
It just changes your entire relationship with problems. You stop thinking, I hope there's an app for that, and you start thinking, I'll just make the tool I need.
So we have the engine. How do we make people see the idea?
That's where the third power, creation, comes in.
Visuals move faster than words.
They do. And traditionally, this was another gatekeeper. If you wanted a professional product shot, you needed a photographer and a whole lighting setup. If you wanted a video, you needed a crew. The source lists tools like Midjourney and DALL-E for images and Runway and Sora for video.
And Suno for music.
Right. The mental shift here is replacing that phrase, I can't make that, with what would it look like if I generated it? The source suggests a simple exercise. Pick an object in your room right now. Maybe it's your coffee mug.
Okay, I'm looking at my mug.
Now imagine generating a cinematic high-end commercial for that mug. You don't need a camera, you don't need lights, you just need to describe the vision. When you realize you can produce studio-quality assets from your laptop, The gap between idea and execution just vanishes.
It's wild, but there's one piece missing. We have the time, the tools, the visuals, but we still need to talk to humans.
Power number 4, connect, communication, and influence. Writing is the multiplier. But the source warns us here. Do not use AI to just generate generic garbage. We've all seen those LinkedIn posts that just sound like a robot wrote them.
Delve into the rich tapestry of...
Exactly. Avoid that. The strategy here is to use AI as a thinking partner, not a replacement writer. The source talks about using something like Notion or Heptabase as a central brain. You load it with your context, your past work, your beliefs. So when you ask ChatGPT or Claude to draft something, it actually sounds like you.
So it's like cloning your best self on your best day.
Yes. You're scaling your influence, whether it's drafting strategy memos, emails, social content. You're using the AI to make sure your ideas travel further than your physical voice can reach.
It feels a little overwhelming to learn all 4. How do they fit together?
They don't just fit, they compound into a single operating system. Mid-roll AD. Okay, let's look at the big idea recap. Think of it as a flow. Automation creates the space. It clears your calendar. Building fills that space with custom tools that make you faster. Creation brings those tools and ideas to life visually, so people get them instantly. And connection pushes those ideas out to the world to attract opportunity.
It creates a flywheel.
Exactly. And this combination makes the generalist unfairly valuable. That is the exact term the source uses, because you don't depend on anyone else to move forward. If you have an idea, you can research it, build the prototype, design the marketing assets, and write the launch copy all by yourself in a fraction of the time.
You become a one-person media company / software development firm.
We become resilient. In 2026, the world is changing fast. Jobs shift, tools evolve. The specialist is fragile, because if their one trench collapses, they're stuck. The AI generalists can just reconfigure themselves. They can say, okay, the market changed, I'll just build a new tool and communicate a new value proposition tomorrow.
It's empowering, but also a lot. If I'm listening to this right now and I'm stuck in that try harder loop, where do I actually start?
The source is very strict about this in the action plan. It says, do not try to do everything at once. That is the fastest way to kill your momentum.
So don't try to become Iron Man over the weekend.
No. The instruction is to pick one power this week. Just one. Set up one automation to handle your scheduling. Or build one simple tool to organize your notes. Or write one piece of content using an AI partner.
Momentum beats planning.
That is the mantra. You need to prove to your brain that leverage actually works. Once you see that first automation run and you realize, wow, I didn't have to do that task, your brain will automatically start looking for the next opportunity.
It's about breaking the addiction to effort.
It is. 2026 won't reward the person who is busiest. It will reward the person who knows how to multiply themselves.
And that is the thought to leave you with. We're moving from an era of labor to an era of leverage. The tools are there, the barrier is gone. The only thing left is to decide to stop grinding and start building.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next one. OETRO Music.